Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're just going to do a simple daisy. So we're going to start with just a black canvas that's totally dry and ready to go. I'm using the primary colors plus black and white with the Liquitex Basics acrylics. So it's like literally primary blue, primary red, primary yellow, and then black and white, titanium white and Mars black to be more specific. Now I'm going to use a rather like a medium-sized round paintbrush. And I'm just going to start with positioning the flower itself by using some pink. So I'm going to use pink, red, and white is going to give you a nice pink color. And then we're going to go to the dead center. So find the dead center, make a little dot. And then we're going to make a circle that takes up, a decent amount, like maybe like a quarter of the middle or so, something like that. Doesn't have to be exact. Don't make it too big because then you won't have space to put your petals out on the sides here. And then what we want to do is our petals are going to be maybe even going off the canvas a little bit on the sides. And they're going to pull from the outside to the center. So just take your brush. You can even add a little bit of water to it, not too much for the black canvas. I don't like doing too much for the black canvas, but this is kind of the underpainting of this anyways. We're going to do layers. So it doesn't really matter how it looks. And then I'm going to do it again. So see how I can pull these brush strokes in from the outside to the center. And then as we get a little higher here, I'm going to see some of them can get a little shorter. See how I'm doing that? Pink. I'm just pulling into the middle. And again, we might be going off the canvas a little bit again here. So we're just making this really big. And you can always thicken them up. They don't all have to be the same size. Let's see how they're kind of like long boards. You want them a little pointy at the end. Unless they go off the canvas, then you don't even have to worry about that. Add a little more red there. See how that darkens it and makes it a little brighter. I'm going to do that a little bit here on the edges. I don't want to break these into two. I'm going to do that. This one got a little too big, so I'm just going to break it into two. I'll add an extra one, like a little one right there. So remember, flowers, petals, all these things, they're imperfect. And that's what makes them look a little more realistic as you're painting, that some are a little smaller, some are a little bigger. Notice I'm adding a little bit of a different color over here. You can change your colors a little bit as you go. They don't all have to be exactly the same. And just this pink, these pinks colors is going to look fun. But we are going to be layering over. So in the end, it's going to look more whitish. But it's good to have different colors underneath that is going to help give a little more depth to the piece. So it's very easy to achieve that. You just have to start with a different color than what you want to end up with sometimes. So sometimes people just see something and they go, I want it to be white. So then all they use is white. But really, when you see white in nature, you're not just seeing white. You're seeing a lot of other shades of colors too. It's just that white is the predominant color. And then I'm going to take a little more red on my brush and then just dab that in the middle to fill it in. You can always clean your brush if you feel like it's getting a little away from you. What I want to do is add a little bit of purple in the middle. So I'm going to take some red and blue, and I clean my brush because I don't want any white on it. And I'm going to go ahead and dab that in the lower right. So it's going to create a little bit of a shadow color over here. Not as shadowy as the black in the background, but just a little bit. Nice. Then I also want to use that same color. I just cleaned my brush because I wanted it to be a little bit less paint on there. So you can always just wipe the excess paint off, or you can always clean your brush to make sure you don't have too much on there. And then I want to pull a little bit of that purple out into just the base part of the leaves. So right at the base where it comes to the center, and just pull it out a bit. And painting is so interesting because so many people have a different process for getting results that I always invite people to try out different teachers and different approaches, because you might find that one way of working is much better for your creativity. I find that some artists, although their results are awesome and I really admire them and I like what they create, and it's no judgment or anything, but I don't have the patience for the way that they work. Meaning sometimes they use stencils and rulers and graphs and a million different shades of paint and a million different brushes. And I find that I just sort of check out creatively at that point. Like it's no longer feels really fun to me. It feels a little too technical and busy, and I start to just get overwhelmed personally. And so I don't work well that way. Let's see how I've got that purple out in there. Now it looks a little bit more fun around the base of the flower. Add a little more blue and red and just do a little bit more. You can always add a little more to the middle too. Then I'm going to go ahead and clean the brush. And I'm going to make a really bold move and add some white with just a tiny bit of blue and red in it. So it's essentially the same color with a ton of white mixed in. So blue and red, but now I have a ton of white. That relative to what we got going here might actually look pure white, but we're not going for pure white yet. We will add a little bit of pure white, but not yet. And then I'm going to go ahead and layer that on the leaves. And notice how I can just streak it down. Start from the top of the leaf and then streak it down a bit so that it's not too solid at the base. So push and then little streaks as you pull towards the center. And you can leave a little bit pink around the edges. And what's fun about this is you can always add more purple or pink or anything back in too. So if this color gets too light and you feel like you want to bring back some of those other shades, then that's easy for that to happen. No big deal. And then what I can do is add mostly white with just a tiny bit of yellow. So see, I could change my color. And I didn't even really clean my brush because this is so soft already that adding a little bit of yellow into my white over here is going to not, like, you just won't see that other color underneath this. It'll be fine. So this is how you can begin to layer some different pops of color more towards the tips. Maybe not streaking down as far, and you don't even have to hit every single petal you don't want. Definitely want to hit the bigger ones, maybe not the smaller ones. And then what I can also do is add more blue into my white here. So see how now I've created this different color that almost has a green vibe? Maybe a little more blue. And then I can pull that at the base. So see how this is so fun to add different colors. Love it. We're just playing here. I mean, you can add as many different colors as you want and make it really rainbowy and psychedelic. But it's still lighter than the colors we put before, so you're still going to see some of that purple, but now you're seeing this blue down in there too. I'm going to clean the brush just because it's getting kind of crazy over here. And then I want to use more yellow with a tiny bit of red. So it's like mostly yellow with a tiny bit of red. And I'm going to go in and start dabbing in the center, in between that purple. Okay, once I have it through the middle a little bit, I'm going to add more white and yellow to it to make it a little brighter. And I really want to have it brighter up in the upper left. And then you can finish by using a smaller brush, and then maybe I just have more of that yellow, white with a tiny bit of yellow over here, and add that to the center, especially in the upper left. And you can drag down into the other part of the center, but maybe like more subtle, so it's not too much. So fun. And then you can even take some more of that pink or whatever, any of the colors that we played with, and put that like around the edges. So see, I can take the pink around the edges and just clean that up, make some fun little brush strokes. You just want to make sure it looks fun. And again, we're not going for like realism here. It's not really my style. I feel that moves into the tediousness for me. But I get to play with the color, and I want to take some of that like dark pink almost and put it in the center too, because I like the way that looks. That color feels super fun with this theme or just this flower. And then again, if you want to get some more contrast, clean your brush and go back into that darker purple shade, red and blue. And then you can always pull that back into the center. You do want some contrast. You don't want your painting to have no dark aspects. And you can pull that into the leaves at the base, just like we did in the beginning. So if anything got a little bit too bright and you lost all your shadows, that's an indicator that you need to come back in and reestablish some of those shadows to create the depth that you might need. And then last but not least, you can clean that small brush and add some pure white. So, or maybe not like pure white, but almost pure white. So it doesn't have to be 100% pure white. Like I still have a little bit of that yellow in there, but less. And then you can go in and do some more streaks on the tips of the petals or just anywhere you really want to pull it out. I'm just pulling little streaks down. Maybe one more little pop of that in the center with little dabs. This is just a fun way to make a daisy. You can always do different colors. Try it again, however you want to do it. But hopefully you had fun. Hopefully you like what you've created and customized it. You can always reach out to me and let me know how it goes. One last little tip is that you can always use your black paint to cover up anything that you didn't like. So if a brush stroke got a little unruly, you can take a little bit of black and paint over it and make it go away. And you can also use the black as your shadow color in lieu of the purple, but be careful because the purple is a little more subtle. But again, thank you for painting with me. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, especially if you painted along. I'd love to get some feedback, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Thanks for watching. Bye.